What's up, everybody? Welcome to another glorious episode of Two Dudes with Attitudes, a wrestling podcast. Two
Right.
dudes with
Attitudes. I
attitudes.
love it.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
That's our
The
new
gang
we
signs.
need a shirt. We need a shirt that has
Do
that
we
on
need a
there.
shirt with the V up
Yeah.
and the D? All
Like
right.
a
I think we should.
like a paper rock scissors, but just, this
Uh-huh.
and then I don't know, a
Should we
dude
throw the
symbol.
D up? I don't know. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's just be
Yeah.
two dudes with attitudes or do we got to
I
do
don't know.
two dudes? I don't want to make the
Yeah.
kids, if we have kids watching this, throwing
That's
up
true.
gang
Yeah.
signs in middle school, but
That's
two
true. That's
dudes. I
true.
mean, it's just, I like it because it's like a scissor, right? It's just two scissors, right?
Yeah.
That's what me and you are. Two
Yeah.
scissors in a pot. Oh,
Right.
I mean, just scissors. No, like the acclaim throw scissors.
Of course.
They
Of
throw
course.
scissors. What a great way to start off this episode. So, once again, as always, I am Mr. MWO, my wrestling opinion, and with me, as always, is my brother from another mother, my ginger from a
Ninja.
shooting star press. What's
Ginger
up?
from another ninja. Yeah, no, I'm hanging in there, man. I'm living the dream. I am, it's another week, another solid week of professional wrestling, and we had some sad news in the world of wrestling yesterday with the unfortunate passing of Jay Briscoe. So I know he wasn't in the WWE, and that's not really our topic today, but this is bigger than wrestling. He was tragically lost at 38 years old. I think it was a car accident. I don't know if the more details are coming in on it or what, but yeah, it's an unfortunate situation for sure.
And of course, we will always acknowledge any wrestler, anyone in this field and this art that is going to be passed away and that we have lost, and rest in peace to Jay Briscoe, and condolences to his family, friends, wrestlers, fans, his brother for sure. I mean, they just won the ROH tag team titles, and I've always said I didn't watch a ton of them. I have watched them. Last time we talked about them, I said how much I respected that match that they had. I'm just not the biggest blood type guy, so they weren't always my styles, but it doesn't mean I didn't respect them and know how great they were. So yeah, I know he will be missed. It's already shown on the internet, and yeah, man, it's a sad day, sad night into a sad morning.
Really
definitely,
is,
for sure.
Really is. And rest in peace to Jay Briscoe. And yeah, it's really sad.
I agree. What's up, Hambone? On that mark, what's up, Marks? On that mark, what's up, Marks? So dude. So as you said, this week in wrestling, it's been pretty amazing, man. I mean, we had some ups, we had some evens, and then we had some downs, right? In the WWE this week. It's kind of like a roller coaster of love, right? Or it's kind of like one of those roller coasters you're going to go really high and you're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then it does just like a little dip and then it mellows in. And then it finally does like the drop towards kind of like the end. That's kind of how it was with our SmackDown, Raw, and NXT. And with that said, also we have a great planned day today. He's running a little late, but we do have a special guest today. Mr. Santi himself is going to be jumping on shortly with us to discuss this week in WWE and do a couple fun segments with us. And we're honored to have him. If you don't know, I mean, when I got onto this TikTok thing, because my daughter and my niece and my wife thought it was a cool app and wanted us to see people dance and do funny videos and such, I was like, okay, I guess I'll download it. So I got the app, and literally I was watching it and I was bored out of my mind because I didn't really see much other than people dancing and girls in bikinis. And so all of a sudden, boom, in popped Straight Shoot podcast. And they were doing Guess the Wrestler and a whole bunch of other over and under or this and that and blah, all their awesome segments that they did. And I saw this and I was like, holy crap, you can do wrestling on TikTok. And I saw these dudes and I was inspired and I started a TikTok. And I think my first like 20 out of 100 posts I did were all duetting them as much as I can. I don't do it as much as anymore. Now they kind of just do Guess the Wrestler more so than they do all the other ones. I wish they would do more of them because I love duetting them. But yeah, man, I mean, I got into it because of him and because of Steve. So it's nice to have one half so far on this show today. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and they're some of the first people I saw on TikTok as well. I got onto the TikTok as an app in 2021 when the rumors were running rampant about CM Punk signing with AEW. So I was like, I got to get some real-time information. So I just searched CM Punk in TikTok for whatever reason. And there came Steve and Santy, and they were playing Guess the Wrestler, and it opened up the whole world for me to the wrestling community on TikTok. So, they were kind of the founding fathers for me discovering the wrestling side, and I'm excited to have him on.
Yeah.
I'm really he is a wrestling encyclopedia. If you guys don't know, Santy can when they play Guess the Wrestler, they have 60 seconds to guess, and he usually gets it within 2 or 3 questions. He knows that the answer is John Cena from the Marine 2 or something like that. So and he can they play a game called Guess the Pay-Per-View too. And Steve will say, opening match, Right to Censor versus Too Cool. And he automatically knows that it's SummerSlam 2000. And I don't know how he does it, but the man is a wrestling encyclopedia. And I think that I think I looked that up. I think I'm right that it is the opening match of SummerSlam 2000. I don't think I'm making that up. But Santy
so you're not an
so,
encyclopedia. Yeah. Got it.
No,
Got
no.
it.
So we'll ask Santy what the opening match of SummerSlam 2000 was, and I think he can confirm. But yeah, I'm really stoked to have him on board.
Yeah,
and joining us, and
hopefully
he'll
jumps
be
on
here
soon. Yeah, man. I mean, it's funny too because they'll do things like he's like Hornswoggle dressed up as Santa Claus, and it's like oh yeah, correct. I'm like I don't remember Hornswoggle dressing up as Santa Claus, but it's insane. I mean, my memory is very slow. I'll remember moments of wrestling, and then I do a thing on TikTok where I do like WWE did what. And I try to go off of memory, and I got flack because I called the big boss man a police officer, and people were like, he's a former prison guard, bro. And I honestly thought it was the same thing. I have a friend who's a police officer. He worked in the prisons forever. It's not like he was considered a prison guard and then he was a police officer, worked in the force, did prisons first. That's how you start, and then moved on. I didn't know it was a thing. My bad, man. Did I get attacked? One of the few times I've been attacked on TikTok. People love the big boss man. They were very mad at me. So I'm sorry. I'm not Santy. I'm not a human encyclopedia. I don't remember every detail ever. I remember them vaguely. And then sometimes I'll need to look it up just to catch my memory again. But and we do this live. So it's not like this podcast. I mean, we don't make a lot of mistakes for doing it live. So it's not like, you know what I mean? Got to give us props. Yeah. Now we're going to mess up all day. I mean, I was going to try to do a Guess the Wrestler with him today and have us go back and forth. And I was like, no, I'm not going to embarrass myself on my own podcast. I can go on his podcast and he can embarrass me. I'm not doing it on mine.
Yeah. But no, I honestly, until all those people blew you up on TikTok, I had no idea he was a real prison guard. I thought it was just a gimmick. I thought it was just a character that he played. And then he went home afterwards, like everybody else, like Duke the Dumpster Josie is not really a trash collector, I didn't think he really, but apparently he was. And you really ruffled some feathers that day.
Oh yeah. Yes I did. Yes I did. That is funny.
So
that is all right. So let's get this party started. All right. So wrestling, we're going to start off with SmackDown, my man. And SmackDown, I think we're all going to agree, especially when Santy jumps on, was the most exciting part of wrestling this week for the WWE, more so than Raw and NXT. We had some pretty good moments, some pretty good things going on, some storylines being built. SmackDown has kind of been, I want to talk about like one quick thing is that I got to give WWE props because, oh, shoot. All right, everybody.
He is here. There he is.
Guest ever. Worst guest ever. Time zones have done me in yet again. Because if you had not messaged me, MW, I would have been here in 45 minutes.
Are you Central Time?
I'm not. My calendar swapped it into a different Atlantic time zone for some reason when I put it in. What I was doing as you messaged me is I was trying to catch up on NXT.
Well, now we know. Well, just pick the first thing you saw and you can run with that. We'll go from there.
Sounds good. Okay, where are you guys now?
I was literally trying to kill time. Yeah, I've been killing time
talking about you and Steve and how you're a wrestling encyclopedia.
All right, let's get this going. Start the show. Roll the cameras. I'm pretty sure we already are, but we're here for real now.
I was just sitting here blowing smoke up. I was like, "Oh, Santy's the greatest thing ever." Let me see here. Santy is insane. No, he's awesome. Yeah. No, we were just jumping into SmackDown. So, Santi, for you, I mean, I know you said you've watched our podcast before, so cheers. But usually what happens, I'll say one, we'll discuss. Shooting Star will say one, you'll say one, whether you liked it, loved it, hated it, and we'll all talk about it and move on. And then we'll go to Raw, NXT, and then we'll do our fun segment we have in store for you. So,
let's go.
And I was telling people too, I was planning on doing Guess the Wrestler, and then I decided I didn't want to get embarrassed on my own show. So, so maybe some other time, but not today. I will not compete with you on Guess the Wrestler anytime soon. So
that sounds good. Yeah.
I'd have to get, someone super easy for me to ever guess it. But SmackDown, man. SmackDown was a good show. It was exciting. I thought it had some good moments. We were just saying how I thought it was the highlight of wrestling for WWE this week between Friday, Monday, and NXT. I want to start off with Bray Wyatt. I think it's something we can all kind of dive into and talk about a little bit. His promo, right? He cut his normal Bray Wyatt promo. Again, he talked a little bit differently this time, so we didn't get the same, I am whatever, blah, 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 this and that. But he talked about him being all these people. And before he came out, there was that little, QR code again. And if you scan on it, supposedly I didn't do it, but people do it for me on TikTok. Thank you very much, people on TikTok. It goes to the Fiend, right? Into the Firefly Funhouse, and it's showing the Fiend. So are we getting... I thought Bray Wyatt was split personality when this Wyatt 6 thing started. Then they started doing this Uncle Howdy thing, and then he got attacked by him. And now it looks like maybe he's not. But then he basically said in this thing, I am Uncle Howdy. Now, is he meaning this like when people talk and they're like, I'm every child, I'm you, I'm this, like meaning it in a soul reason? Or are they meaning like, is he split personality again? Because I'm assuming if the Fiend comes back, he's not going to be portrayed by somebody else. He's the Fiend. So are we getting this? Are we going to get it at Rumble? Are we hoping we're getting this at Rumble? Do you fellas would rather have it be split personality, or do you want, Bo leave back in the town and have Bo Dallas come back? What are y'all thinking, Shooting Star? I mean, what do you think about this promo for one? I mean, it was quick, but I thought it was his best one kind of since he's been doing these promos as of late.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I'm more confused than I am anything, which I feel like I've been pretty confused about this whole Bray Wyatt thing since it started. And now I'm even more confused, but I mean, I guess I do want it to be split personalities. I think I've been saying that since the very beginning, that I didn't think it was a faction of 6 people. I thought it was all going to be Bray Wyatt, and maybe other people are portraying his inner demons, but I don't think there's actually going to be a specific faction that Joe Gacy's in it, and this person's in it, and this person's in it, and and maybe Alexa Bliss partners with him again, and that's about as far as they go. But I don't think it's going to be a faction of the Wyatt 6 anymore. I think it's going to be split personalities. But I agree. I thought this was the best bit. Bray, it was short and sweet and straight to the point. He was like, he had the rocking chair. He looked like the Bray Wyatt of old. It wasn't one of those promos that we've been getting the last couple of weeks where it's woe is me and thank you all for all your love and support. It's I'm happy to be back, and then he gets attacked. It was just I am Uncle Howdy, I am Bray Wyatt, and drop the mic and walks off stage. So I thought it was the best one that they've done, and I really liked, speaking of promo, I really liked LA Knight. They showed the backstage, or I guess it was WWE exclusive, where he was cutting the promo about we thought he was talking about the return of Bray Wyatt, but he was really talking about
his Mountain Dew plug.
Yeah, the Mountain Dew Pitch Black, and I really like that. And I don't get why we're not getting more of that on WWE TV. But that was the best of LA Knight as well. So
agreed.
I gotta agree on the LA Knight part. I'm of the mind that LA Knight is the only person on this roster that can make this feud work. This first initial feud, because LA Knight works so well in the serious and in the ridiculous. He is able to find this balance where he's able to make both work. You can have a very serious feud with LA Knight. Sure, okay, LA Knight versus the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. We can get behind that, but we can also get behind LA Knight versus Doink the Clown. He's just that type of personality that can make the serious and the ridiculous work. So I gotta say, the choice to go with LA Knight to be Bray Wyatt's first feud, I think is brilliant. In terms of this promo, thank goodness it was shorter than it usually is. I think that was my highlight of this promo, that it wasn't an extra 5 minutes, because I do feel like he has a tendency to ramble on with things that you're just like, what? Why? Okay, I don't understand. And to your original question of, is this split personality? Is this multiple people in a faction? I'm of the mind that I wanted to be split personalities as well. I have a tough time seeing how other people can fill in the role in the shoes of these other characters that Bray Wyatt is. Like, I only see Bray Wyatt's feet being the ones that fit those shoes, is kind of what I'm trying to say. I sometimes also interpret it as a Walking Dead situation where everybody says, I am Negan, for any Walking Dead fans that know that reference. And then when it comes to the Alexa side of things, I'm of the mind that he's against Alexa. I don't see a unification of the two, because and I'd like to get your input on this. Since Triple H has taken over, we have seen WWE actually acknowledge past storylines and their end result of those storylines impacting current day WWE, right? So I think a good example would be Johnny Gargano and Theory's original, backstory and history in NXT actually being acknowledged when he was brought over to the main roster. That's not something that was done in the Vince McMahon era. There was no acknowledgement of past storylines. So if we are going with the standard that they are now acknowledging past storylines, why in the world would the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, want to align with Alexa Bliss, who cost him the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, right? So I'm of the mind that this is actually an attack on Alexa Bliss in some sort of way to make her go down a route of going crazy and losing herself.
All right.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. But, Seth Rollins or Kevin Owens just teamed up with Elias on WWE TV, and a few months ago he killed his brother essentially.
That's fair. That's fair.
And they acknowledged that on TV.
They acknowledged that, right?
They did talk about it.
Like, why in the world would I ever partner with you? Right?
Great. Yeah, but I guess crazier things have happened because they did partner together against the Bloodline. So
I kind of like the idea of the revenge, though, of kind of making her think, I want you back, bringing her back in, only to sabotage her and have her, basically maybe lose to Bianca, maybe turn back into whoever she needs to turn back into, whatever people are hoping, Alexa Bliss, whatever. I mean, I like this Alexa Bliss. I always have. I like the doll. I thought it was funny. I thought I've keep saying this over and over and over again, that I think she's probably the best female actress in WWE right now. I think her reactions, I don't think she's on the level of Sami Zayn, but for going up against these other females, I think her facials, you feel what she's doing, and when she's on, she's on. She missed a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago when she was on top of that booth talking to Bianca. That was kind of a miss. When Uncle Howdy came out and did his little dance thing. But I kind of like that. But here's the thing though, right? That promo at least kept me intrigued. I've been kind of falling out of it. I've been bored of it. At least now this got me back in. Uncle Howdy, as we'll talk about in Raw, comes out and makes an appearance to Alexa. So, I kind of like, once again, where it's going. And Triple H has kind of been doing this pretty well, is that he's not just giving us everything. He's giving us things and then kind of switching it a little bit, kind of keeping us with the bloodline and everything else. Since he's taken over, things have kind of been, you don't really know. Everybody says they know, on TikTok and so on. They'll post they think they know, but we don't really know. So I do kind of like where they are going with this. And I like that. I like that theory, Samsy. I wonder if that's it. We'll see. So is he Uncle Howdy? Is he walking out, or is he hiring someone? Did he pay someone? Did he pay Dexter Lumis, like The Miz, to come out and be disguised as him? And
you know what? Like, I'm happy not knowing for the foreseeable future. I think as wrestling fans, it's interesting, right? Because a lot of people just want this to, like, we want to know now, but also at the same time, wrestling fans for the past 15 years have been complaining about how we don't do long-term storytelling anymore. And yet now when they're trying to do long-term storytelling, a lot of people complain that this is too long. So classic wrestling fans, right? We can never be satisfied with what they're doing. I'm good with them to carry this for a while, and I would like to continue to see LA Knight in this type of situation, because like I said, I don't think that there's anybody in the roster, with maybe the exception of Kevin Owens, that can play the serious and the ridicule and bounce between the two at the same time. So I'm excited to see what else comes out of this feud. so long as Bray Wyatt's promos aren't 35 minutes, I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
I agree.
Let me ask you this, because you said that the LA Knight's the perfect opponent, but LA Knight's also just getting over being Max Dupree, and so he's trying to find himself on the main roster too.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know how Bray Wyatt was booked the first time around on the main roster, where he lost all these big matches. So who do you think should take the loss because I don't think Bray could afford it based on how he was booked before, but I certainly don't think LA Knight should be losing so soon either, especially when he just changed his gimmick.
So this is what I mean when I say the ridiculous. You can lose the ridiculous and not hurt your stock. Look at Sami Zayn losing to Johnny Knoxville, right? Yeah. That loss elevated Sami Zayn to other levels. Stone Cold beating Kevin Owens after that did not bury Kevin Owens. It elevated him. There are certain feuds where, again, you dive into the ridiculous, the funny, the zany, the supernatural, where a loss doesn't hurt your stock. And I think this is the situation that LA Knight is in. I think LA Knight needs to lose. And I do believe that it hurts Bray Wyatt if he loses.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah.
For sure. Bray can't take the L. Disqualification, LA Knight loses. We cannot have Bray Wyatt take an L. He cannot be pinned. Makes no sense.
Yeah, I think that's the better way to put it. He cannot be pinned. I think he can lose from shenanigans of the supernatural one more time, right? So I do think that they're doing a pretty good job with this feud overall, though.
Agreed. All right, Shooting Star.
Yeah, I want to talk about Gunther and Braun Strowman, because I'm not the biggest Braun Strowman supporter, but that was his best match that I've ever seen him wrestle in. And I think that's more of a compliment to Gunther than it is to Braun, because I've yet to see Gunther have a bad match since he's been called up to the main roster, since he's been Gunther, especially lately. He's just had banger after banger after banger with Sheamus and Ricochet. And now he even had some with Shinsuke Nakamura earlier on in the year last year. And he made Braun Strowman look like $1 million. And yeah, I was really impressed with that match on SmackDown.
Go ahead, Santi.
Gunther is, when it comes to in-ring, he's my favorite thing going on in wrestling. Yeah. The way I explained this to Malik when I was on his podcast on TikTok is that Gunther is the only person on this main roster that I can't compare to somebody in the past. Everybody, I can compare their in-ring work to somebody else. Johnny Gargano, well, there was Shawn Michaels, right? Braun Strowman, well, there was The Big Show. They all have a comparison to the past in some capacity. I can't compare Gunther to anybody. To me, he's such a unique talent that, I mean, at the very least, in WWE terms, I'm sure there's people out there in New Japan, strong style, AEW. But when it comes to the history of the WWE, I'm having a tough time pinpointing somebody that mirrors the style and the wrestling ruthlessness and technical masterpiece at the same time of Gunther. So to me, he's the most unique thing happening in wrestling. And this was actually what I was going to bring to SmackDown, Gunther to this podcast, Gunther and Braun Strowman, because yes, it was Braun Strowman's best match, probably nowhere near to Gunther's best match. But I think what I walk away with is this feeling of relief that they're not using Braun Strowman to bury Gunther, because there was part of me that believed that it was going to happen.
I agree. I had that fear as well. This is what I love about, I'll say Gunther. I like the way you're saying. I keep saying Gunther, but I'll say Gunther. That's the way. Gunther. Yeah. For one, I mean, I love a lot about him because when he switched his name, the world exploded, right? Just like they're doing right now with Cody Rhodes in the Rumble and anything else that happens in this world. We explode, right? We're sure. as we say here on Two Dudes with Attitudes, all fans, we're all fickle fans.
How
right?
dare they turn the Leviathan into Batista? What a terrible idea, right?
It's all hindsight.
Batista. It's all hindsight.
It 100% is. And now I can't even look at him as Walter anymore because I feel like his weight loss, he's changed the way he wrestles. Everything about him now is Gunther. He's just that guy. But what I love about him is that he's showing us what I've always loved about wrestling. We are stuck in an age nowadays where wrestling has to be AEW style matches. It needs to be people flying off ropes and tables and spinning around and hoop-de-loos and jumping through hoops and fire and all this stuff. And it has to be a high flying, making Shawn Michaels look like he never jumped off a top rope in his life type matches. And it's not. Wrestling is storytelling. And although I love AEW and I love those matches, to me, wrestling is all about the story you tell in the ring. And Gunther does it better than anybody else. And he literally has what? 3 moves? He does a chop, he does another chop, and then he does some kind of fancy move he'll try to just create during that match that he does new. And it is brilliant. He starts to be defeated no matter who he's wrestling. He comes back. He'll just slap you no matter where you are. I mean, he hits people on the side of the face all the time. He just goes for it. It's fantastic. He tells a phenomenal story. I agree with you. I think he's killing it right now in WWE in ring. I don't know if I can say he's my favorite just because KO and Seth and I mean there's other guys that are really doing it well too, but he is there and I'm loving it. I hope he keeps this IC title. He's already making it a great thing again. It's reminding me of the olden days when people like Mr. Perfect and Razor and Sean and these guys, Brett had it. I'm loving it. I'm loving the importance of it. I agree, man. If you love wrestling, go check out Gunther. This is how it should be done.
For me, it's fingers crossed that they allow him to defend the Intercontinental Championship on WrestleMania. I know that there's a lot of, it's all bureaucracy with Fox wanting to have a title that is exclusive to Fox and not appearing on Peacock. That's part of the reason why we don't get Gunther in a lot of pay-per-views defending the title. And man, I really hope that this is the year where Fox can let loose a little bit and let Gunther, the Ring General, do his thing because like he's just, he really is just phenomenal. But hey, hats off to Strowman though, right? Like being able to adapt to the type of person that he had in the ring. Gunther really is just a master of getting the best out of the person that's across from him. Like think about like he's like the work with Sheamus is another great example, right? What did you guys think about Braun Strowman's performance overall in this though?
Like I said, I thought it was the best match that I've seen. It kind of reminded me of, I know they said he was in front of his home crowd, even though he's from North Carolina, not Green Bay. But it kind of reminded me of the Braun Strowman from 2016, 2017. That was starting to win the fans over a little bit, before he became, the guy who puts his foot in his mouth whenever he's on Twitter and stuff. But, he's, to me, he just reminded me, he had some bangers with guys back then, and he was getting over on the roster, and I thought this was the best it was definitely the best that we've seen since he's been back. Of the best performance in the ring that he's had since he's been back from when he got terminated and he got brought back. So yeah, I was pleased with Braun. I got to give him credit because I'm not, like I said, I'm not the biggest Braun supporter on here, and I've openly, I don't want to trash him, but I've openly criticized his character and just the way he presents himself. And he looks like a doofus sometimes with that train move that he does, where he's running around the Strowman Express, where he's just running around and bumping into people. But this was his best performance, and I was really happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it as well, and we don't trash anybody on here, just so you know. But I don't dig him. I didn't dig him back in the days. I thought he ran his course. I thought he was like probably out of the 700, people they fired, he was the only one that I was like, it makes sense. I just thought people run their course, right? Like when Dean Ambrose left, I was like, makes sense. This dude he's not really going anywhere right now in WWE. Let him go somewhere else. I felt the same thing about Braun. I got to give him props though, because he literally had the snot slapped out of him. Literally, they had boogers. He had he was banged up. The camera had to cut away. They were like, oh no, we can't show that. And he hung in there. And I feel like, Gunther is a very on the fly type of guy. I don't know how much of that they planned beforehand. I think he just says, I'm going to find spots and slap the bananas at you. So be ready. And I thought he did well because Braun also fumbles a lot in his matches. And I thought he did a pretty good job. So I got to give props where props are due. So for sure. And Santi, if that was your SmackDown one, we'll just go ahead and start you on Raw. So we'll move to Raw. Sure. All right. We'll give you that. So Monday Night Raw, man, obviously mixed bag, right? I mean, I'm sure we'll all agree that it had some goods, it had some really bads. what would you like to start off with, Santi?
First and foremost, this is a filler episode of Monday Night Raw. Like, we all know that this is setting up for Raw 30 next week. So I'm willing to give this a pass in terms of not really having impactful movements when it comes to storylines leading into the Royal Rumble, with, of course, the exception of the Cody Rhodes spoil. Like, why? I don't understand that. But I want to talk about the United States Championship, not necessarily the match. I think the match was fine. I think the choice to go with Bobby Lashley is a fine choice as well. I love that Seth Rollins was just going ramshot with the curb stomp. I love it. It almost makes me like reminisce on those days where they said the move is too dangerous, and then here he is just handing them out like Skittles.
Like Skittles.
Just handing them out. But I want to talk about the US Championship itself, because I made a video that got a lot of negative feedback when I said that Austin Theory losing the Money in the Bank briefcase, and I know my camera is being odd right now, the Money in the Bank briefcase was a good thing for both Austin Theory and for the United States Championship. For the United States Championship especially, because cashing in on the United States Championship meant that the United States Championship is now a title that is coveted enough to go after with the Money in the Bank briefcase. And look at the type of people that we had in this match. Could you imagine 5 years ago, people like Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, and people with this hierarchy going after the United States Championship? Absolutely not. That cash in on the United States Championship elevated it to be a title that is worth main eventing any show, any night of the year, a la the Intercontinental Championship. So if I just want to go back to a couple of months, what a great idea to have the cash in on the United States Championship, because Austin Theory no one was going to believe him as a believable world champion. You know what it was going to lead to? He was just going to lead to the second coming of The Miz, an undeserving champion who won. And I say character-wise, The Miz is amazing. An undeserving champion who is probably just going to play the coward, is going to run away from confrontations. But instead, that loss turned him into this guy that is looking for a fight with Seth Rollins. It turned the title into must-watch television. And I just want to tell the wrestling community, I told you so.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I think we just talked about Gunther and what he's done for the Intercontinental title on SmackDown. I think what Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley and Austin Theory have done for the US title, I think they've elevated it as well. And like you said, they've made it a title worth going after and a title worth pursuing. So again, that goes back to giving credit to Triple H and the creative team for a lot of these decisions, because that was one of the things I wanted when Triple H first took over, was to bring prestige back to the US in the Intercontinental Championship. Don't just make it a title that's either never defended or just, you don't even, or they're just never on the show. And they've done a great job of that. And they have a title now exclusive for Raw, which is the US Championship, and a title exclusive for SmackDown, which is the IC title. And I really like what they're doing with it. So yeah, like you said, 5 years ago, we would have never seen Seth Rollins or Bobby Lashley going after the US Championship. So kudos to the creative team.
Shoot, 5 years ago, we wouldn't have seen it 5 months ago. So, I mean, honestly, it's just the Triple H has changed that. And I have to say, Santi, I was one of those people. So if there's one thing about me, because I'm an adult, I'm a grown ass man, I am not afraid to admit when I am wrong. And I have slowly been eating my hat. I haven't fully eaten it yet, but I've slowly been eating it since that happened, because when that cash in happened, I was losing my ish. And it could have been because I was such an Austin Theory fan. I still am, but I've always been a firm believer that you can bury somebody and still try to push them, right? I think it happened with Wade Barrett, where he was literally buried by your boy John Cena with a bunch of chairs with Nexus, and I don't think he ever recovered. Sure, he won the title again. He was bad news, but the crowd really never related, and I was afraid that was going to happen with Theory, and I don't know if we're going to talk about it, but it's kind of what's happening to Bayley right now. I don't think Bayley has fully recovered. That promo with Becky, it was like, I thought they were in an empty room. But it's just, they have been doing their damnedest, and holy cow, I think it is working. And I think you're right. I think it did elevate the US title, because I thought if he went ahead and tried to cash in a Roman, he could have done the same turn. He could have lost the Roman at whatever pay-per-view and then did the same turn. But you're correct with the fact that him losing it to the US, did elevate it, and now it's made it a thing where he's wrestling Rollins, where Rollins wants it, Lashley wants it, Theory wants it. Theory looks good, with his unbuttoned shirt and showing off his abs, and I mean, he's believable now. Now when he goes in there, I don't think like he's just going to get his ass kicked. They are doing, and they've done that great with a lot of people, Solo and so on, where
100%.
they have just the way they have built them. You fear now. You're like, this guy's going to whoop some ass. And I agree with you. I'll eat my hat. You were right. I was 100% wrong. I mean, it was.
I love hearing that. Those are my favorite words.
I'm never afraid to admit it. Never afraid.
What is interesting about, the possibility of having Theory having cashed in on Reigns, I really think it would have just turned it into a Damian Sandow situation. I think that's where it was going to go, because there's no recovery from that. But I think, the amount of players that were in that, upper mid card allowed just for this awesome turmoil to go after the United States Championship that was made prestigious by the cash in. Well, I have a question for you guys, though. When it comes to this segment, are you guys excited for a potential Hurt Business reunion?
I'll let Shooting Star, because he called this a while ago before I even thought about it. So
I am stoked. I am excited about the Hurt Business coming back. I always thought that they never really got their just due, because they were being the Hurt Business, but they didn't have a live crowd with them. They were kind of doing it in the Thunderdome, and then they just ended. And I thought it was one of the best things going on WWE TV. It was one of the best stables that they had, and then they just ended. No rhyme or reason to it. And I thought it was some of Bobby Lashley's best work. I'm not a big fan of Lashley on the microphone, so I think having MVP do the mic work for him, I thought everything about it worked perfectly. So I am excited about a Hurt Business reunion. I am a little. I was going to talk about this match, so I'm glad we brought it up. But I am a little perplexed, and I'm kind of wondering if they're going to go a different direction with the Hurt Business now. But with Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin losing to the Street Profits, it kind of, if you're going to bring a group back, why are you booking? You should be booking them to be strong right now and not having them lose. But it kind of makes me think maybe MVP is going to get the Street Profits in the Hurt Business and not Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. So
now, Shooting Star, if I can add in there, though, if you remember the original recruitment of Bobby Lashley, it was because he was on a losing streak. He wasn't the almighty, the dominator, and that's where the character of MVP was able to elevate him. So maybe that's where they're going with it.
Yeah, that's true. I could see that for sure. So
that's what I'm seeing.
And then what does Omos play into that too? That's because he essentially helped Lashley win this match on Monday night. So I wonder if Omos is going to be a part of it. So I could see it being they don't have to just be those three guys. It doesn't have to be Lashley, Benjamin, and Alexander. It can be, you can branch it out and make it a pretty big stable if you want in a big faction.
It's looking like he's trying to add people, right? Because he went out there to save Bobby. He went out there to save them. I mean, the problem is, though, because I do agree. I think MVP, I think they're losing so MVP can say, see, you need me. This is why we need the Hurt Business back in business, right? But I mean, they're all heels except for Bobby Lashley. He's a face right now. So if they did try to get Bobby Lashley, are they going to get him, or is that going to be their first feud? Is that where they're going to go? Are they going to cost Bobby this match against Theory? Are they going to, is that where, because, Theory can't drop the belt right now, and I don't think he's going to pin Bobby clean. That's not happening and anytime soon. So that's where they're going for next week. He's going to try to recruit. Bobby's going to say to go F himself, and then they're going to cost him that match, saying, you're either with us or you're, against us. You're either with us or you're Nexus, bruh. Yeah.
But I could see them costing Austin Theory the U.S. Championship, and that's what leads Bobby Lashley to say, okay, I'm back. Let's do this. Yeah. So, and
I'm all for it, to answer your question. That was the question asked. You all for it? I'm all for it. So
yes,
heck
100%.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Shooting Star, what's going on?
Oh man, I wanted to talk about the opening, the opening moment with the Usos and the Judgment Day. I've been excited about this. I have been wanting to see it, but I said last week when the Judgment Day won the number one contendership for the Raw tag team titles, not the undisputed tag team.
I want to talk about that too. Yeah,
just the Raw tag team titles. But when they won, I said it was something that we've wanted to see. I've wanted to see the Judgment Day and the Bloodline go at it. I just think it's the wrong time to see it, because if you take the titles off of the Usos right now, you're kind of weakening the story you're telling with Sammy and KO, because are Sammy and KO going to reunite and go after the Usos and dethrone them to win both sets of tag titles? What about where does Solo Sikoa fit into it? Or you're making the Usos look beatable right before WrestleMania. And so I don't think they're going to take the titles off of the Usos, but at the same time, when do you do it? Because if you don't do it now, and everything breaks up at WrestleMania with the bloodline, when do you do it? You can't do it afterwards. So I am excited about this. I'm curious to see where they go. I love the segment with Dominic in essentially talking about prison, talking about jail to the Usos of all people, and talking about how you wouldn't make it in prison. And it was just, Dominic is on a roll right now. He is one of the funniest characters out there, and I love his connection with Rhea Ripley. I think is fantastic. So, yeah, I am excited to see what they do with this, and I think next week, Raw 30, I think is going to be pretty special.
Honestly, I was refreshing the WWE Twitter to see if there was somehow going to be a Martin Luther King Day Dominic Mysterio invasion of the Mysterio household. Like every holiday, I'm just waiting for it. Every holiday, I'm like, are we going to get something with the Mysterio household? So now I can't wait for Easter. I can't wait for Easter.
Easter will be a good one. It'll be
good fun.
I mean, I wore this shirt on purpose. So I wore this Judgment Day shirt on purpose. So, I mean, I have been, I don't know if Santi knows how much of my TikToks he actually sees or the podcast, but I am probably Dom's number one fan. I'm okay with it. I'm okay that high school girl, flip out every time he's on the screen. I think he's been killing it ever since he turned. I know Rhea has always had it in her, but I think he has made her a star by literally just being there next to her, because she has found what she needed to be, and that resurgence that she has gained. I think he put Finn Balor, made him a bigger star again. I think he has helped make Damian Priest a bigger star again. And I literally think Judgment Day was on the same thing as Bloodline, where they were about to die and be done, and people were bored of it. And in came Sami Zayn, and in walked Dom, and he has only gotten better and better. And I get that these fickle wrestling fans in this world do not get the character he is trying to put out there, but he is a chicken shit heel at its finest. That's what he is supposed to do. He is playing it to perfection. And now he went to prison and has that hardcore mentality to him. Holy cow. It's just like, you can't write. I would never have fathomed writing all this together. So props to the writers. They are doing him well, and he is delivering it perfectly. There was nothing better than Dom basically saying you guys in prison would be wannabes, and Solo, you're the biggest one. And he got in Solo's face and didn't even blink, man. And I do agree with you that they can't win. Them saying the Raw titles worries me, because the Usos taking a drop before Mania, I think is once again, I don't want to say, because then Santi's going to post a video saying the opposite and he'll be right. But I don't see it happening and it making sense. I don't think the Bloodline can lose until Mania. I think that's where they should all lose, and kind of just end it there with wherever they're going. But if they did lose to the Judgment Day, and then they do face Sammy and KO for the tag team titles, I don't see how it feels as impactful. Kind of like if they're going to have Roman wrestle both nights for the title, because the first night, if he loses, that really just kind of kills the second night. I mean, he already lost, so what's the point? So, yeah. Ahead, Santi. Shooting. Sorry.
I just wanted to add one more thing, and then Santi, you can say it. But I don't know if you guys heard, but there's going to be a thing next week with the all the members of the Bloodline are going to be on Raw. So the acknowledgement ceremony. So I wonder if that means we're going to get The Rock, or are we going to get Rikishi? Are we going to get, what are we going to get? Who are we going to get?
And are we going to get the Judgment Day?
It has to be The Rock. It has to be The Rock. It has to be. And there's your answer for a legitimate Usos title loss right there. Yeah. That's the only way I also see it before Mania. It's The Rock. Something to do with The Rock.
You think he'll cost them, is what you're saying?
I think so. I mean, I have a tough time seeing them lose clean to another faction of heels. It doesn't really work for either the Judgment Day or the Bloodline for a clean win here. In a dirty win with the Judgment Day members like Rhea and Finn Balor costing, it also doesn't make sense because the numbers are even, because you've got the Bloodline being able to circumvent that. What is the one outlier here? The potential return of The Rock. That is
Yes.
pure fantasy booking. Pure
Mhm.
fantasy booking.
You think
Yes.
it's too early? You guys think it's too early to already bring in The Rock, or no? I mean, Mania is still quite a whiles away. That's a.
Hey, they brought him back a year before a match before, so
They did against Cena. You're right. You are right.
That's true.
Facts.
Yeah, I didn't think about The Rock being the one to cost the Usos. I was thinking it was going to be Edge. I thought Edge would come out and cost the Judgment Day the win by taking out Finn Balor, taking out Dominic, and then maybe Beth Phoenix comes out and gets her hands on Rhea Ripley, and then and maybe The Rock comes out at the acknowledgement ceremony, or he comes on via satellite or something. But I thought maybe Edge would be the one to cost the Judgment Day the titles and not The Rock. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
When I heard about this ceremony, I thought The Rock as well, and I was thinking there's zero. They can't mess this up. He's got to come. They can't do like with Mercedes Moné at that Dynamite I went to, where they literally teased her coming in and then she didn't show up. The crowd was furious. It didn't show, but at the live event we were booing the bananas out of them. So you can't throw those little teases and then just ignore it. I feel like if you're saying it, you got to bring them.
yeah,
So-
like if you're bringing the entire family tree, right? Like I'm pretty sure, I think they're bringing in the head shrinkers, they're bringing in Rikishi. It would be weird for the most famous of the people in this bloodline to not be there, especially on an event as big as the 30-year anniversary of Monday Night Raw. Like it's just the stars have aligned perfectly. The other thing as well is that The Rock has no filming schedule happening within the next 6 months, which means that there is no insurance in place blocking him from being able to perform things in like the WWE. The only conflict that he has is his promotion of the XFL, which lands at around the same time as WrestleMania, shortly after the Super Bowl. That being said, he could totally do that even if he's injured. Let's say he tears his groin again, as obviously knock on wood that doesn't happen. That's something he's still able to do even with an injury, even with a rolled ankle or something. A movie he can't. The fact that there is no movie shooting schedule over the next 6 months has me really, really hopeful that this is finally
We'll finally get him. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I would not hate to have The Rock come on TV. I love The Rock. I'm wearing Rock's shirt, so I'm a huge Rock guy, and I've been wanting to see him since his Bloodline thing started. So I'm hopefully he finally comes out. I thought he was going to come out at Survivor Series against when it was Roman and Big E, because it was like 20 years of The Rock or something, that they were hyping it up all night, and then he never came out, and we all thought he was coming out the night after WrestleMania. He never came out. So, like you said, the stars have aligned, and I think it's I'm
gonna text Chris Van Vliet to see if he has any insider information on The
breaking
Rock.
news on Two Dudes with Attitude.
Do it now. I think if The Rock does wrestle at Mania, it's going to be not for the title. I think it'll be. I think Roman will lose because of The Rock night one against Cody. I know that's cheap. I don't know if he's going to like interfere, but he'll play a presence, and The Rock will be there to rub it in, which will lead to the main event of the second night being for the the tribal chief. And I don't know who's going to win that. I mean, whatever way they want to go, it is what it is. But I think Solo will play a part, because remember, they did say Solo was brought in by the elders. They never said he was, brought in by Roman. So even though he does throw up that one, that theory went out the window. Speaking of that, because we're already kind of over time here, I wanted to say I do want to bring up Cody really quick going into the Rumble, because it's been a hot topic for I have no idea why. I don't know why people were so upset by either way, but Here's why I'm a little upset by it, Santi, and you had talked about it, and I've talked about it with Shooting Star, but I thought him being a surprise, and I think people confuse what a surprise is, because dirt sheets to me, I don't listen to dirt sheets. I honestly don't. I don't read anything. So I get surprised by things because I just watch the product and follow the story. So I would have been surprised, even though he said he was coming back. He never really said Rumble. People said, he said January, whatever. It still would have been nice to see him come out at 30, doing that John Cena moment, doing that pop would have been huge. And that would have made me think he was going to win. The reason why I'm a little upset by this is because I'm assuming if he's not the surprise, they have somebody else. And does that mean that Cody isn't going to win the Rumble? Is somebody like Seth Rollins going to cost him the Rumble and interfere? And Seth doesn't have anywhere to go now after this US thing. I mean, he needs something. Are they going to get rid of that? Are they going to? That's why I was more upset about the surprise, because it makes me believe that Cody's not going to win this title. And I think even though Sammy's gold and probably deserves it, I think it makes sense for this to be Cody's moment, because he's going to be the biggest face when he returns. I think it's obvious.
Yeah, I wish that they never aired these vignettes at all, and we didn't know that he was coming. But as soon as they did this on the last Raw of 2022, the clip show. They did an interview with Cody Rhodes just to keep him fresh in your mind. And then the first Raw back of 2023, they started doing the little segments and the backstage stuff, the interviews and all that. But yeah, I wish that they hadn't aired any of this stuff, because the pop he's going to get a loud pop, but I think the pop he would have gotten had we not known would be even louder. And I don't think, but again, maybe like you said, maybe they have something else up their sleeves. Maybe there's The Rock who's going to enter the Rumble, or maybe there's Nick Aldis or Matt Cardona or somebody along those lines. But I don't know if they're on the level of Cody Rhodes.
No, not at all.
No, not at all. What I will say is I 100% agree with you. I think no vignettes, no information about his recovery, just a complete black box is what I wanted. Like no information, so that we can get that aura of the superhero of how in the world has he recovered from this injury, a la John Cena. No one knew John Cena was coming back. Everybody's thought that there was still 4 months to his recovery timeline, and it's considered one of the greatest Rumble returns of all time. Like it's still talked about, even though like he was gone for like 6 months. Like he wasn't gone for that long, but just because there was no information on him, we didn't know his recovery timeline. We didn't know like anything about his rehab. We cherish and treasure that moment when he came out at number 30. I think they're robbing Cody Rhodes of this potential heroic return. The holy smokes, can't believe he's back, can't believe he went from having a grape for a chest into winning the Royal Rumble. I because they spoiled it, I don't think he's winning.
I agree.
I
agree. I think we're going a different route. Yep. And I think that's a bummer, because I think him winning at Mania, beating the greatest maybe title run in the history of WWE and doing it for his pops and winning that belt at the biggest stage of them all would have been magical. So I don't think it feels the same if he does it next year against somebody else, unless they're keeping that strap on Roman, which, I mean, believe it or not, that could happen. He could have that belt till next WrestleMania. I mean, crazier things have happened in the WWE. So yeah. All right, fellas, we got about 9 minutes. I don't know how much longer Santi could be on. I don't want to hold him up too long.
I got about half an hour.
Oh, you got time. All right. So let's
all
right. So we'll talk about one thing from NXT. We'll agree. Santi, we'll let you choose. What would you like to talk? We'll do one thing. You saw one thing. What did you see? What's the one thing you saw?
Okay, what my feedback on, because I haven't watched NXT weekly television in months. It doesn't really work with my schedule. It's hard to come by here in Canada in terms of like being easy to be able to watch and digest. But because of this show, I was like, I'm gonna try and watch NXT. You know what? You say but I was pleasantly surprised with how
that's good.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with it, because I thought my reaction was going to be What I want to talk about is the great work that they actually do with their backstage vignettes and their interviews. I think that they might be the best out of current television that's doing it. I love that stuff with Tony D'Angelo and Stax, that like recreation of like The Godfather, Goodfellas. I'm like, I didn't know anything about these two until I watched today, and I was so pleasantly surprised with the character work. I could tell both of those dudes are fully dove into their character. I don't know if their character is working on screen or not, because I didn't really watch beyond what I saw in that vignette, but I liked it. I really liked it. Also, that super jack chick that does like the reverse RKO, the surfer chick, who is that? And that chick is awesome. That is my feedback on NXT.
Well, I want to say, awesome. That is so. I have been down with NXT since day one, before Black and Gold, when they became Black and Gold, all the way. I've been supporting 2.0 on TikTok, on this podcast, my old podcast, to my friends who don't watch wrestling. I've been a firm believer. They got so much talent. What's up, B-roll? But the last couple of weeks have been kind of flat for me, so I'm glad you like this one, because if you watched like 3-4 weeks ago, then you're really going to love it, because I feel like, I don't know where Sean's going right now with everything. I feel like he's trying to build to something, and it's felt a little flat the last 2 weeks. But yes, the production on NXT is insane. The talent they have, that I think you're talking about Sol Ruka is what her name is. She's I should be the biggest fan of hers out here. I live in California, bro, so I should be her number one fan. But that move is probably the best finisher in the biz. We got Carmelo Hayes, who is going to be the biggest star sooner rather than later. He is like a modern day Shawn Michaels. When he comes over to the big show, the dude can bring it. He cuts phenomenal promos. You got Grayson Waller right now, who is honestly killing it, and his backstage promos have been great. Even with Braun Breaker, his backs, everything is with the Diamond Mine. You didn't get that far probably, but they did a great little promo in the back. I mean, like you said, their promos were so good that you got to see people you didn't even know of, and it hyped you up. So that is what I liked about, and people crap on NXT so much like it's this like garbage 2 hours, and it's not. I mean, even when it's not doing great, I'm still intrigued by it. And I was intrigued this week. It's all MWO's fault. Everything's my fault in this world. I'm okay with that. But I do, Tony D, in your defense, he is phenomenal. He like lives that character. I don't know if that's who he really is, but I love WWE. Whenever they do like we need to go talk, it's always on a bridge. Always. It has been since the olden days of the it's always like WWE is like, yo, if we're gonna go talk, where should we go? A bridge, obviously. It's like they got it planned on their wall, and that's the only thing that it has. Like, bridge, who's gonna go to the bridge? And so I was waiting for him to throw him off and then maybe go get him, maybe he'd find the IC title, but they didn't throw him off and they ended up befriending. So Shooting Star, what'd you think?
Yeah. I thought this was the better of NXTs over the last couple of weeks. Like we said, a couple of weeks ago, there was a segment leading into New Year's Evil between Grayson Waller and Braun Breaker that I just thought felt really flat. And I didn't really feel that this time around. Now I'm excited about their rematch. I like Grayson Waller's backstage stuff. I like what they're doing. So yeah, I think NXT, like you said, it's getting people hyped for the right reasons. It's getting people hyped about the future of the WWE. And yeah, Sol Ruka is looking really good out there. I love that move that she's doing. I don't know, have they named it? Do they have a name for it? It's like
it has a name. I forget what it is.
Yeah, the Ruka bottom. I don't know, but
what do you guys think about keeping Toxic Attraction in this feud where it should be like, it still feels like Mandy should be in there because they're continuing to have this feud with Perez? Like, are we thinking that this might be, refusing to remove Toxic Attraction from there? Could this be maybe alluding to our girl coming back?
I'm glad you said our girl, because I think she is. It has to be, right? Because it's not even like they're keeping them as a tag team. Like, oh, it's just Toxic Attraction, the tag team. They're feuding with the same. You're right, the same, and it's leading to what's going to happen at this pay-per-view. Is that the return of Mandy? Is that? I mean, she cut this interview or whatever, and oh, boo-hoo, this and that. They did me wrong, but I'll come back. I'm all good with that. And I think why say that if you're not really? Was this all a work? Was this all, who knows? Or did she get fired and they said, hey, just let's figure some things out and we'll bring you back? I have no idea. I think it is, though. I think Sean would have ended this thing if it had nothing to do with Mandy. I don't see how they don't bring Mandy back. So I'm all for it. Plus, I love Toxic Attraction. So I love them too as well. I think they kill it. And I think if Mandy does come back, though, they need to go to the big stage. It's time. We need some positive girl factions over there in WWE, because they did Damage Control dirty. So I need to see some Toxic Attraction take over there.
And I actually whether or not they bring Mandy Rose back, I like that they're keeping Toxic Attraction alive, because a lot of times when the leader of a stable is terminated or let go or moves on to other things, usually the group breaks up or they go do their own things, or they get forgotten about when it comes to they get lost in the shuffle behind. They're not quite championship contenders. They're not quite tag team champion contenders. They're not ready for the main roster. So a lot of times they fall off and you don't really hear from them anymore. And I got to give credit to Shawn Michaels and the creative team for keeping them relevant, despite the fact that their leader has been, who knows what's happened to her. But
those girls are fun on the mic too.
Yeah, they're great.
They're really fun on the mic.
They kill it, and they're good in the ring too. And I was hoping.
I think Mandy Rose not being there. Sorry to interrupt, but I think Mandy Rose not being there is making them better.
It's helping them. That's what I was going to say. And I was wondering if they were going to do. I talked about this when they first broke up, or when Mandy first left. That was it going to be like a DX situation where that first night we were going to get a returning somebody who was going to take over and lead them, a la, Triple H when my boy had to leave for a while. So I thought that was going to happen, but it didn't. So
CM
it makes
Punk
me
with Nexus.
Yes. Oh no, I was talking about good things.
It's a quick fantasy booking. Like who would you want it to be? Like if it is not Mandy Rose, if it's somebody else, a veteran that needs to come in and take over Toxic Attraction, does anybody come to mind? As you think about it, let me give you my answer to give you some time as well. I think it would be Emma. Emma makes sense in terms of bringing somebody down with experience in the indies and the main roster who maybe hasn't stuck on the main roster. It's a perfect place for her to go down to NXT. I don't want to say go down. It sounds like it's a demotion, but go to NXT and help lead that faction. I think it could elevate both the girls of Toxic Attraction and Emma.
I was thinking Sonya Deville would be a good one too. I think she has the history with Mandy Rose, and we just talked about how the WWE likes to revisit old storylines, and she was in helping Toxic Attraction just a few months ago around Halloween, and
her and Mandy are best friends.
Yeah,
they're
BFFs. Yeah, would have made sense to have Sonya Deville go down there, but now she's losing to Charlotte Flair on TV, so I don't know what they're doing with her. And I think it would be a good spot for her. There's not really much for her to do on the main roster with the women. So yeah, I think her leading Toxic Attraction would be good.
I like both of them. I like both of those choices. I was going to go Cora Jade just because I thought she needed a thing to do, and she's a pretty BA heel. So I think she could have led, and she's attractive, so it makes sense. It kind of all flows with the whole sex appeal, but hardcore girls in the ring, they can wrestle. So I liked it. But if I was going to bring somebody back, I like those two. I was even thinking, I wasn't sure what they were doing with, if Mickie James wanted one more run. I know she's killing it on Impact, but then she ended up winning the title, so we couldn't do that. But, just thinking outside the box, I knew it wasn't going to be Mercedes, obviously. She's too big for that, but that was back then. Now, I think I would take any of them. I think it'd be good. I like what they're doing, though. I like that they're keeping them as is and seeing where it goes, because who knows what's going to happen. I mean, maybe they'll join. They're not going to go babyface. They're heels only. I was going to say maybe they'll join forces with Roxanne, but after she beats them, but they can't do that. They gotta keep on keeping on. But all right, man, Santi, you did it. You finished your weekend review. Was that exciting?
There we go.
It was
NXT recap up now.
Yeah, there we go. I'm a little late.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun being able to go back to NXT with a reason. And you know what? I think it captured me. It captured my imagination. I was like, because I was diehard NXT as well. Like I tried so hard with 2.0. I really did. I promise you, I tried really, really hard, but I wasn't able to do it. And so this is my first time watching a full episode. Well, I didn't finish it because I was late to this, but I attempted to watch a full episode in over a year, and it was what I watched. I really enjoyed.
All right. Oh, Santi, you have a question from B-Roll. We'll let you answer. But I agree with you, Santi, as he's putting the question up here, is that I think a lot of people, just because I think this is what NXT was originally supposed to be, and they got too many great wrestlers who were ready for the prime time, and that just threw us off because it was so great that going down again was just but look what it's done to Mandy Rose. Look what it's probably going to do to Jinder Mahal. Look what it's been doing for Apollo Crews. I mean, that's what I like about it. You push the stars who aren't making it, who need to come back and kind of find themselves again, and it pushes new stars, and I love it. I think it's a phenomenal system they got going on right now, and they have probably the greatest wrestling mind of all time running it. So I mean, you can't really go wrong. You know what I mean? You can't go wrong.
I agree. I love that
foreshadowing this. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I love that they're using it like a baseball AAA team, right?
Yes.
Like those are your players that are ready to go up to the big leagues. But when a veteran player is coming back from injury or he's struggling, hey, let's send them back to the AAA. Not punishment. It is to get your groove back so that you can be ready and come back to the majors. I love that they're using it like this.
Yeah, and it's been entertaining. Did he throw his question in yet?
Yeah, here it is.
There it is. There you go. Can you see it, Santa? You can see it, right?
Yeah. What advice would you have for anyone looking to grow their channel /podcast? Well, my first question because I get this question like literally daily. I've been doing content creation since 2012. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I used to have one of the biggest Call of Duty channels on YouTube back in 2013, 2014. That's what paid for my university. It was my job for a really long time. Wrestling, this is kind of like a second coming of my content creation. So my first question to those people that asked this question is, have you started? because everybody has this mental roadblock. Oh, like I need a better mic. I need a better camera. I need a good co-host. There's always a reason to not start. And when you don't start, that's when you don't grow. Throwing content and creating content is the only way to grow. That's the only advice. You have to just make enough content to figure out. Think of it as spaghetti. You throw enough spaghetti at the wall, eventually something's going to stick. And if you aren't doing these things, if you aren't failing, if you aren't experimenting, nothing's ever going to stick. But the first step is to actually start, because if you don't start, if you focus on the minutia of camera quality, mic, all of these things, it's never going to be enough. You can always have a better camera. You can always have a better mic, but you just have to make something. That's step one.
I like it. I like it. And we'll get into you. I'm going to obviously let you say your thing at the end of all this, because you are amazing. And you didn't hear what we were saying, but as I was told to get on TikTok because of my wife and my daughter and my niece, who are all, females who like to watch people dance and do funny things. And they finally talked me into it because I was sick of getting all their vids or their texts from me to tell me to watch these ridiculous TikToks. So I was like, you know what? I'll create an account. And literally, your phone obviously knows what you like. And there popped Santi and Steve doing a Guess the Wrestler. And I just started watching all your guys' videos. And I was like, man, these guys are good, man. They do a thing. I followed your podcast. I was listening. I was like, man, and this is all from TikTok. I can do, and I've always wanted to talk. I have one friend named Patrick who watches wrestling with me in the whole world. So I was like, this will be a good way for me to kind of get on a platform and talk wrestling with other adults, hopefully my age, which a lot of them have been. I mean, obviously I got a lot of 18, 16, 14-year-old boys who come at me, but either way, it was fun. And I got my start. I don't know if you probably had no idea who I was back then at all, but I got my start duetting basically.
Oh, that's how videos. I know you. That's
there you go.
Yeah, that's exactly how I know you. All the duets. I'm like, dude, I literally showed Steve. I'm like, yo, this dude duets everything. This guy's awesome.
That's better than a restraining order, which I thought I was going to get.
No.
I think I was telling a Shooting Star, I'm like, if I go back, I think like out of my first 100 posts, I think like 25, 30 were duetting you guys. I was literally just like duet. And I had no idea how this worked. I didn't know it would lead to me getting, more followers or yada. I just was doing it because your guys' stuff was so amazing. And I was like, I want to get in on this. This is fun stuff. And I want to try to test my knowledge. And I swear to you, I will never lie. I never, ever watched beforehand. All of those are on the spot. Even if my thing was taking too long, I always muted it and then I hit the 3-second thing and then I would do it. I never, ever once, all real answers. And me and you, I think I always forget. I think me and you were off more than me. And I think me and Steve were always closer, but I think
there was one episode where we were just off like on every single one,
like 0 for like 5. I was like, oh, and I was even saying like, this is an easy one. Me and Santi will agree. And then you did the other one. I was like, never mind. We are literally, but yeah, so I appreciate you and I thank you, and it's full circle that you're on here now with us, and I appreciate you too. And we'll plug your, straight shoot after, we do our awesome segment coming up, because we do got to jump into that, because now we got about 20 minutes before Santi needs to jump out of here. Hopefully this doesn't take that long. Don't destroy me on this.
Let's go.
So we are creating a new segment here on Two Dudes with Attitudes. My man Shooting Star Press over here created this fantastic thing. He was working all morning on it. Yes. I am a humongous Shawn Michaels fan, the Heartbreak Kid, and we are doing a thing called the Wheel of HBK Greater Than Everyone. And this is a segment where I want to discuss why Shawn Michaels is greater than everyone. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if Santi's going to put me in my place and I'll just close off this podcast and walk away crying. I have no idea. But what we do is that we don't show the wheel yet. We're going to have a wheel, and the wheel is going to have different wrestlers on it. We're going to spin that wheel, and whoever it lands on, we will discuss why HBK is greater than that person. No idea how we're going to get here. That's why I'm glad you're on it. But since we had you on it, Santi, we decided to make you a special wheel just for you for our premiere episode of the Wheel of HBK is Greater Than Everyone. So let's see this wheel, and we're going to...
I also put this together.
Oh.
All right, here we
Greatest theme song ever. So who's on this wheel? Oh, it looks like it is John Cena.
I recognize that guy.
I think it is. So let's spin the wheel. Let's see who it's going to land on.
Let's see. Big money.
Let's see.
Big money.
Let's see. Come on, John Cena. Hey!
Yeah! All right.
It is the Wheel of HBK Greater Than Everyone, John Cena edition. I might just want to, before we even get into this, maybe I should just start off with the theme songs, right? They both sing their own theme songs.
Yeah.
They both do, although HBK originally did, and it was Sherry, but they both sing their original theme song. So right off the bat, I got HBK 1-0. I mean, theme songs, I mean, you're not going to tell me that you know, My Time Is Now is better than Sexy Boy.
Look, if we're putting up My Time Is Now and Sexy Boy, I'll give it to Sexy Boy. But you're also forgetting that Cena also sang his previous theme song before this. One of the greatest theme songs of all time, Thugonomics. All right. So if you want to put themes like one-on-one, sure. But hey, we got to put the history of theme songs together here. And I can't differentiate. I don't know what the Rockers theme song is. If I hear it, I don't know it. I don't know it. I don't know it.
You're right.
I don't know it. It sounds like it sounds like any generic early 90s and 80s WWF golden era theme song. But Doctor of Thugonomics, from the first 2 seconds, you know what it is. Like, so if I'm going the lineage of John Cena theme songs versus the lineage of HBK theme songs, come at me. I'm going My Time Is Now, tag teaming with Thugonomics to take out Sexy Boy.
All right, so Shooting Star is the man. So am I down 0-1 right now, Shooting Star?
I think so, because I didn't factor that in. I didn't factor in Thugonomics either. I forgot about that.
Dang you, Santi, in your encyclopedia. All right. So, all right, let me go with this then, okay? Let me run this down really quick because I'm going to go with accomplishments. So I know I'm going to go 0-2 here because obviously when it comes to titles and championships, obviously John Cena created this, right? But let me just run through real quick. Shawn Michaels is a 4-time heavyweight champion. He is a 3-time IC champion. He's a 6-time tag team champion with 4 other people, okay? One of them being John Cena. They won a tag team title together. We got a European champion, which was to this day still my favorite belt. He's a 2-time Royal Rumble winner. Also, well, I'll get into the first. He's a 5-time WrestleMania main eventer, which I think Cena beats him there as well. But he's a 2-time Hall of Famer. And he has a lot of firsts. He is the first person to win the Rumble at the #1 spot. Probably my favorite Royal Rumble ever. He technically, I know you might fight me on this, Santi, because you are an encyclopedia. He is the first ever ladder match, technically, in the WWE that was like aired and pushed with Razor Ramon, which he did not win. But he's the winner of the first Elimination Chamber, the winner of the first ever Hell in the Cell, the winner of the first ever Iron Man match. He is Mr. WrestleMania. He had probably, in my opinion, the greatest rivalry ever with Bret the Hitman Hart. And he's also, and what I really like about him, I've always compared him to Kobe Bryant in the sense of he had 2 Hall of Fame careers. When they talk about Kobe, he had 8 retired and 24 retired, right? Because both of those numbers, he had Hall of Fame careers. He could have won in twice. Shawn Michaels' first run is a Hall of Fame career, and his second run, less titles, is still a Hall of Fame career because the way he made wrestlers, and we can get into that in a few. So yeah, that's what I think. At least Shawn Michaels stands in being. His titles, I think they were harder earned back then. You can give me that, hopefully. They were harder earned than they were when John Cena's time, when they were kind of letting that thing pass around like hot potatoes, all these belts. Randy Orton, winning, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Mankind and The Rock did pass that belt around quite a lot in the Attitude Era. That was after Shawn as well. But being the first ever everything, man, Shawn Michaels is an innovator. He was always there for the first and always brought the show down. So, Santi, what say you? You can, I'm sure you have them all in your head already, so you don't need
I do, yeah. But I mean, I just want to rebuttal with, wow, it's kind of crazy that he's the first of all of these things. It's almost as if his career started 20 years earlier. I don't know. Seems a little unfair to use the first at this and the first at that when John Cena didn't have a chance to be that because he wasn't around. So I just want to immediately discredit MWO right there with trying to use jargon like the first this, the first that. The first person to win the Rumble at #1, wasn't that Rumble like 29 minutes, the shortest Rumble in history? So I'm also going to discredit that. Get that out of here. But if we want to talk world titles, of course, we got to look at the number of world titles that John Cena has won. And the thing is, yes, I agree that titles were definitely a lot more hard earned back then. But we've seen Shawn Michaels bounce around different divisions, tag team, intercontinental. Like John Cena's career has just been main event from beginning to end, more or less, with the exception of that initial United States Championship run. That back end United States Championship run was cherry on top, really, of him elevating that title at that time to be something worth fighting for. But yeah, like if we want to talk numbers of accomplishments, I mean, 15-time world champion, 16-time world champion, 2-time Royal Rumble winner, countless main events. By the way, WrestleMania main events. Pretty sure one of those was with Shawn Michaels. Remind me again who won that one?
But isn't that John Cena's one of his greatest WrestleMania matches of all time?
Does it take 2 to tango or 1?
Oh, I was going to go into that. I think it takes 1, but okay. Let's keep going.
All right. Look, in terms of volume of accomplishments, if like that is purely where we're drawing the line, like it's a losing battle for you. Like, because again, if we're talking pure volume, I will give you that there are world championships that Shawn Michaels has won that completely trounce many of the titles that John Cena has won. My favorite Shawn Michaels win is when he won the Elimination Chamber. That is a beautiful world title win for me. I don't think that Cena has a moment like that. Where what I will say is, and maybe this is a different argument and more so about like their careers, but I can pinpoint more people that got major accomplishments off of the back of John Cena than people that got major accomplishments off of the back of Shawn Michaels. Roman Reigns comes to mind. The return of Brock Lesnar, putting him over immediately, right? Of course, Randy Orton, Edge. We have recently the likes of Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, putting over people like Sami Zayn on his debut. So I think if we look at 1-to-1 volume, sure, John Cena, value Shawn Michaels, but what they've done to be able to elevate other people in the roster to gain those titles and that notoriety, I think John Cena built up more people than Shawn Michaels.
And you're just talking the title push, because I think Shawn Michaels helped elevate a lot more wrestlers overall. I think so.
I thought we were talking accomplishments.
Just a cut. So we're just talking title accomplishments, correct?
Well, isn't that what this argument was?
Yes.
Accomplishments.
And I picked accomplishments for this one because I wanted John Cena to get some wins. I wanted you, Santi, to take a little bit of a lead before I made my comeback. So yes, I planned this on purpose, right? I knew I would lose this one. So I'll give it to you. We'll go 0-2 Santi. We'll go 2-0 Santi.
Yeah, I think so. I think
all right.
That's a hard one to win against John Cena, right?
It is, because that's what he's known for. And
yeah.
I mean, I compared him recently to Charlotte Flair, but we don't have to get into that.
Sure.
The title, he needs the title more so than doesn't. But here's one thing, okay? Let's get me a win. Let's do in-ring, right? In-ring performer. Can we both agree that Shawn's the greatest to ever do it? And I can get into why. I mean, like you said, it takes 2 to tango. But I think if you go back and look at some of his legendary matches, and I don't want to get into matches either, well, because I think in-ring and matches are 2 different things. So I think that could be 2 different categories, correct?
I agree. I think agree.
So. But in-ring performance, honestly, Shawn, I mean, I don't want to say that, he was started certain styles and this and that, because you're going to say that's not fair because John Cena wasn't there back then. But in-ring performance, John Cena could tell a story. Yes, I am a firm believer, and I just said this with Gunther, that you can have 5 moves, 3 moves, 4 moves, and still be phenomenal in the ring. The Rock, Stone Cold, John Cena, currently Gunther. I mean, there's so many men that only had so many moves, but still were phenomenal in the ring. You don't have to be HBK, but HBK, I just saw a Stone Cold Steve Austin interview where him and HBK were talking, and he said, at first time I was about to wrestle you, the only thing I thought about was, this kick and high fly, big deal. He's going to come in and do some flips and hoop-diddy-doo-dahs, and that's going to be the end of the match. He said, then I faced you in the ring, and I thought, oh, crap, no, this guy can go. This guy's not just a high flyer. This guy can tell a story. This guy has the mat ring. This guy has the overall package, and he's like, you were the best that I've ever wrestled with. And I fully agree with that. I think when you go toe-to-toe, and I can bring up some matches to kind of show this, but when you put Shawn against anybody, tall, big, small, tactical, high flyer, dirty wrestler, but, going in a cage and doing whatever, that was the best match that they had, and Shawn brought it. I mean, look at the Hell in the Cell. People love that Mankind Undertaker Hell in the Cell, but when you actually dissect these matches and watch it, Shawn versus Undertaker blew it out of the water. It just is what it is. Shawn could tell a story and like nobody else in that ring. I think he is the best ever.
I mean, I agree with you, but I think we need to also discuss like what it means to say in-ring performer, right? Are we talking about just the physical capabilities of the individual, or are we also talking about the ability of the individual to sell the moment, right? Because that's all happening in ring. And I think when it comes to selling the moment, John Cena is a mastermind at that. So is Shawn Michaels. And it's very, and I will concede that even Shawn Michaels is better than John Cena at that. But when I hear the John Cena, like, you can't wrestle, I mean, like that's silly to me, because wrestling isn't just Greco-Roman wrestling, right? Like if we were going to grade the greatest WWE superstars of all time based on just their in-ring wrestling capabilities, we'd all be lining up to crown Dean Malenko. Nobody is, right? Because there's a lot more to wrestling than just the grappling, the strikes. There's the showmanship, the ability to make your opponent feel like this unbeatable force that you have to overcome. And John Cena was fantastic at that. Also, there's no one in this industry that has an audience eating out of the palm of their hands more than John Cena. Sure, Stone Cold got the pops. He was always the good guy. Everyone loves Stone Cold. Same with Hogan. But Cena has people eating out of the palm of his hands, whether they hate him or love him. Show me a Shawn Michaels reaction like John Cena got a one-night stand 2006. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It doesn't
Survivor
exist.
Series 97?
But is that Shawn or is that against Vince? Like, that's the thing. The one,
I don't know.
That's shared blame.
Okay.
The Cena one, like, that is pure hatred of Cena. Pure hatred of Cena.
And that's a magical moment. I won't take
beautiful
that. That's
moment.
One of the best ever.
I will concede this one to you, but I don't believe that the narrative of John Cena can't wrestle is right.
And I said that on record. I stated that. I started off with that. Just so you know, I said you don't have to be that guy to make. It's all about story. Did you see? You don't even got to pick that one shooting star. He surrendered on that one. So it's, you know.
Yeah.
It's 2-1.
For that one.
All right, let's go. Well, let's do promo. I'll give you another one. Promo. So I do believe I gotta keep it fair. We gotta have all the categories, Santi, whether I know I'm gonna win or not. I have John. I don't know if I have him top 5. I have him close. He's around there. But I don't have Shawn outside of the top 10. So even though I think Cena might be better, 100, obviously, I don't think he's like miles ahead of him. I think Shawn is a very underrated promo star. I mean, if you go back to his DX days and when he was cutting those promos in the way, like I said, like you were talking about Vince being the Survivor Series thing, Shawn was telling stories before that. When he came out, just the fact that he took the Canadian flag, I know you probably didn't like this, being a Canadian, he did some things to that flag, and that was brave. And then first thing he did was, Brett, throw me in the audience. And he went right into that crowd right after he was just basically making love to the flag and in front of all these countrymen, and then got thrown into the crowd and had no fear. I mean, to me, that's building heat story. I know it's not a full promo, but I mean, when he used to say he lays down for absolutely nobody and so on. And even when he came back the second run, he cut some powerful, the stuff that with him and Jericho are some of the greatest promos and storytelling of all time in wrestling, period. So I know you can say Cena. I get it. But also, Cena kind of did have the same vibe of his promos, right?
Sure. Hustle, loyalty, respect, eat your vitamins, say your prayers. I get it. Cena, that is a good chunk of Cena's promos. But I want to jump on the back of what you said. I actually consider physical work and I mean like body movement and kinesthetics that get a reaction out of an audience to be part of promo work. So Shawn Michaels doing that to the flag, I consider that promo work. And I have an example that from John Cena that's exactly that. Again, one night stand. He throws his shirt. They throw it back. Anyone with a common sense would just be like, okay, well, I'm just not going to throw it again. What does Cena do? He's just like, someone else take my shirt. And then they take it, spit on it, and send it back. And it went 5 times. That's brilliant work. And that's no words, but that to me is a promo. That is a promo. Just like what Shawn Michaels did with the Canadian flag. That is a promo. I think of Chris Jericho when he came back and said nothing in 2012. Those are promos, even though he didn't say a single word, right?
That was amazing.
You can totally have promos without it being words. Here's the thing. Like, John Cena is definitely known for his promo work. that being said, there's a lot of hokiness with it, but he is one of the few people that was able to build a 1 year long feud off of the back of purely promos. No in-ring physicality, no appearances from The Rock, with the exception of once every 4 or 5 months. Cena is carrying an entire feud by himself off of the back of promo work. I do think that this is a pretty clear Cena win, but I agree with you. I think Shawn Michaels, when he's given the ability to cut a heel promo, I think his face promos, I'm not a big fan of them. I'm going to be honest. But when he does his heel promos, they sting.
Yeah, they do. And a perfect example of that is when, I mean, his face promos were all because he was stuck in that boyhood dream gimmick for most of his babyface run, and it just didn't. I mean, nobody wanted that. I mean, we wanted the sexy boy, cocky guy, or we wanted, more so after that, DX and everything else. So
I think with Cena too. Some of his promos were very hokey, but when he wanted to bring it, he sure damn well could. The Roman Reigns promo from a couple years ago, where he just schooled Roman Reigns. This was babyface Roman Reigns being shoved down our throat, Roman Reigns, not bloodline Roman Reigns. He obliterated him on the microphone. The Rock, one of my favorite promos of all time. He called him out for having the promo notes written on his hands. The stuff with CM Punk, when CM Punk was going to walk out of the WWE, that was some of Cena's best mic work too.
When he called for Daniel Bryan to be selected. That promo was beautiful. So there's a lot of fluff in Cena's promos, but that goes with being on television all the time. Right. Unlike Shawn Michaels, who wasn't given the mic to go in front of people every single night. What I will say, where I will give it to Shawn Michaels had way better backstage promos than John Cena. I love Shawn Michaels backstage promos.
Oh, facts. I agree with you there. I still to this day remember that DX one.
We can take a tie here.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
I'm willing to extend the olive branch. I'm willing to take a tie here.
Yeah, I like the fact that you even think he's on the level, because I talked to so many people and they're like, Sean's not even. His promos were awful. Yeah. Oh, no. If you go back and listen and watch, oh, yeah. I mean, and like you said, even Magic, even with him just coming out in his underwear and packing a salami in his pants and jumping in JR's face the whole time. I mean, these things are, he went backstage and got reamed for that. I mean, he was just, and that was a promo. He didn't have to do much. He just.
Yeah, promo isn't just with words. It's it's just what you do on screen to elevate your character outside of the the physicality of things. That's promo work.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. And looks like we only got a few more minutes left. I was going to go in. I was going to try to get myself an easy win and say, let's go. He's also the founder of D-Generation X. In my opinion, arguably, probably the greatest faction of all time. So then not only did Shawn Michaels have a phenomenal individual career and 2 Hall of Fame careers, he also had D-Generation X.
All right.
Which John Cena, he was in the Nexus for a half second, I think.
For a half second. All right. That's like saying that Steve is better than me because he has brown hair. I can't help that. I can't help that I don't have brown hair. I can't help that John Cena never started a faction. I can't.
Maybe he didn't want to. Maybe he couldn't handle having a faction. Maybe he didn't have that in him to.
All right. So can I throw out a category here that we?
Yeah,
can discuss?
You do a category. Yeah, that's fair.
All right. Sure. Let's go to overall, and this one's a tough one. Let's go to contribution to the business. I know that's very, very subjective, but I think it makes for a good discussion here. What do you consider a contribution to the business? Who elevated the world of the WWE and professional wrestling more? I'll go first here. I believe that with John Cena, we have the greatest ambassador of the WWE when the cameras are off. When the cameras are off, we have John Cena. I mean, number one Make-A-Wish guy. When he does his interviews for movies, he still credits his rise to fame to the WWE, unlike The Rock. Of course, his blossoming rapping career as well. But I think in terms of what John Cena was able to do to make WWE a household product in an era where it was kind of starting to wane and appear on, every freaking episode of Good Morning America, all of those Make-A-Wish things. I think he trounces not just Shawn Michaels. I think he trounces everybody in that category in terms of contribution to the business when it comes to elevating WWE outside of the confines of the WWE and outside of the confines of professional wrestling. Because a lot of people say, well, Stone Cold, he helped win the Monday Night Wars. That's still just in the tiny little narrow scope of professional wrestling. I'm now talking about somebody who is making an example in front of millions of people on breakfast television and for Make-A-Wish, etc. These are all things that he's not required to do. Do they help him help his image, which inevitably help him make more money? Yeah, totally. I'm sure there's a selfish aspect to the great things that John Cena does outside of there, but Shawn Michaels, where does it go? Play Dude magazine? I think that's kind of it in terms of his impact outside of wrestling.
Yeah, great magazine. That was a joke. I remember I was,
Read the
I'm
articles?
old. I'm 42. I was just reading the articles. Okay, so I did the faction one. So I will give you the ambassador one. That's fair game, Santi. You're not super smart for no reason. I will give you this. If you're saying Stone Cold doing his, contribution for, or Hulk Hogan for kind of getting us into the WrestleMania stages, yes, that's a contribution. It does count. Shawn Michaels and John Cena also were kind of in times where viewership and ratings weren't at its peak, right? I mean, I know people try to defend John Cena and say the PG era was bigger than what people make it out to be, but I mean, let's be straight. Attitude era and that time, and even a little bit, after that, it thrived in the PG era. It wasn't as high as
I have to combat that too, though. I have to combat that though. Steve was coming at me with this, with like the ratings in the Attitude era are 4 times higher than the ratings now and in the ratings during the PG era. Wow, what a great analysis, Steve. That is the same thing as saying that that newspapers are more popular because people used to read them more that news consumption was bigger in the 80s because more people read newspapers than they do nowadays. Like, do we forget that the WWE is like the 5th biggest YouTube channel on the planet, one of the biggest Instagram platforms, one of the biggest Twitter platforms? There are so many ways to consume wrestling. And I mean, TikTok is a perfect example where society has now resulted in a shorter time span. So a lot of people consume wrestling with the YouTube clips they can be totally up to date with everything that's going on without sitting through 3 hours of television. I dare say that there is more watch time of the WWE product today than there is in the Attitude era.
Oh, well, if you're going that way, because that's where I was going with the ratings, not so much the dog Shawn or Cena saying their time was less valuable, but in the sense of more eyeballs on the product, being an ambassador, pushing it that way. But yeah, okay. I might give you that. I don't know though. The Attitude Era, man, that was a lot of, like I said, you couldn't walk the streets without people in wrestling t-shirts. I mean, I wear a wrestling t-shirt now and people are like, what are you wearing? And then when I tell them it's a wrestling shirt, they laugh at me. I don't know how it is in Canada, but out in California, people don't, I mean, they're like,
especially if you wear like
man.
A scissor me daddy ass shirt,
I have that shirt. I'm not going to.
You're asking for it.
I'm not going to wear that. But I will give you one thing. I am not the biggest John Cena fan when it came to his WWE run. I respect him and everything he does, but I'm a huge Peacemaker fan. I want to throw it out there, and I watch that stuff really. I watch all his movies. I do support him just because of the fact that he is an icon in a way. I mean, when you think of wrestling, if you're going to go on the street and ask people blindly. I watch wrestling. People will say, "Oh, Stone Cold, The Rock, Hulk Hogan, John Cena." That's probably the 4 names you're always going to get. And I know Undertaker's big, Shawn Michaels is big. People claim Bret Hart is big, but those are the 4 names you're probably going to have someone say, right? So that means something in my opinion, and that is an ambassador of the sport. But John Cena, not only that, Stone Cold, even The Rock, the Hulk Hogan, they don't always. John Cena to this day still promotes WWE. He's still out there doing his thing when he does Peacemaker things and so on. You don't hear the Rock changed his name for crying out loud to Dwayne. I mean, he didn't even want that part of him. So I do feel like John Cena is a huge ambassador, and you cannot take away. I know people have made that claim, not you, but I know people have made that claim that Make-A-Wish is a selfish thing and this and that. I don't see that at all, because how many wishes he has made, whether he saw these children in person, on the phone, whatever he did, how much time he spent with them. Us as humans, we are so mental. I don't know how a person could do that and meet someone and be a presence to that person and inspire them to have them pass away shortly after, how that can take on a person's just everything. And John Cena needs to, I mean, he already is honored for it, but dude is a freaking hero in my opinion when it comes to all that. And I will forever respect John Cena for those things. So yes,
I've heard that.
I will give you that, ambassador. Yes.
I've heard that argument before. And to that, I always say, so you think that he really benefited from doing that 401 wish? I can give you the really pessimistic, because it's a really pessimistic point of view to say that they are doing these Make-A-Wish things for selfish reasons. I don't deny that they get positives out of it. But okay, all right, let's say that the first one is this like negative, the purely selfish thing to get media. Is then the second one the same thing? Is the third one the same thing? At what point do we finally acknowledge that this is somebody who really just enjoys being able to give these final happy moments to these children that are going to pass away, or in conditions that we can't even fathom, because we've had full functioning adult lives, right? So yeah, I don't buy to that narrative. I can concede that, yeah, sure, benefits come out of it, but like a lot of the time that's just karma. You do good things come to you.
100%. And I work with children. I'm an educator. I can't handle when I hear stories about home life for the most part. So just knowing what he does, it's a huge accomplishment. So once again, I'll give you, that's a W for Mr. Santi again. All right, we got to do our last one. Let's do our last one. We got to do matches. Okay. So, I mean, we can do everything with matches, right? Who elevated who, 2 to tango, 1 to 1. I'm just going to just throw out some. We'll see who Shooting Star decides, but I'm going to throw out just some of Sean's, in my opinion, his best matches of all time, how he elevated them. I'll give you some time to look up some of John Cena's classics, although I'm assuming they're already like, match for match, move for move. You're like my boy, Sean McVay, the LA Rams coach, that you can just like, remember every moment that ever happened. Didn't mean to bring up football. I saw your Chargers pod.
God,
I don't want to get into it. So anyway, I'm an LA fan too. Don't feel bad. We're both. All right. So I got Sean versus Brett, WrestleMania 10 and Survivor Series 97. I mean, come on. I got Sean versus Taker, all three of them. I'm talking 25 and 26, which in my opinion are Undertaker's 2 greatest matches he's ever done. And In Your House, Bad Blood, the first ever Hell in the Cell. That was a phenomenal story. The emergence of Kane. It was just good. I got to give Sean versus Flair at WrestleMania 24. I mean, when was the last time Ric Flair had a good match before then and after that? So, I mean, Sean told the story, brought the best out of Flair. Flair has never looked that good before, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years before then and after. My favorite Shawn Michaels match of all time, Shawn Michaels versus Mankind at In Your House Mind Games. People don't watch this match. They don't know about this match. Shawn Michaels was stuck in the boyhood dream. People thought he was soft. He was running stale. WCW was destroying them in the ratings. Shawn needed to make a change. Him and Mick Foley threw a banger of a match and brought Shawn Michaels to that dark side and kind of led him. That was the beginning of him kind of starting the Attitude Era and getting into Degeneration X after that match. I mean, he brought the heat. Shawn versus Kurt. I mean, WrestleMania 21, even in losses, which I'll get at. Shawn versus Triple H, SummerSlam 2002, when Shawn came back. I'm a huge Shawn Michaels fan. I'm not going to lie to you. In 2002, I was 21 years old, and I watched that match in tears, the entire match. Every time Shawn took a bump, I was crying. I thought it was the end of him. I waited 5 years for my man to come back, and he came back, and I was like, what the heck are you doing? You're going to kill yourself. And Shawn versus Razor. In my opinion, the first official ladder match, wink, wink, at WrestleMania 10. And something in common with a lot of these matches is that most of these people's greatest matches they've ever had. I mean, we can argue some of them here and there, but for the most part, these are the other person's greatest matches. But at the same time, Shawn took an L in almost all of them. And that was something that Shawn was phenomenal at doing, was looking great and making the other person look even better, thus elevating talent to being, who they are in a sense. Because I don't think Taker's streak is Taker's streak without Shawn Michaels, and Triple H piggybacked the bananas off of that and tried to do the same thing. And they were good, but they weren't Shawn Michaels and the Undertaker.
Yeah,
so,
that's definitely the match that cemented the streak for sure. That's the match that I credit, like that cemented the streak. But the one that started the streak was Randy Orton, Mania 21. Yes. The Legend Killer gunning for the streak.
That was a great match, yeah.
Now, I want to add just something about, you mentioned SummerSlam 2002. Fun fact, that was my birthday gift that year. The first ever pay-per-view that I got to purchase as a birthday gift was SummerSlam 2002. It is the first pay-per-view that I got to see live without it being tapes or VHSs. That is the first pay-per-view I ever got to watch. Shawn versus Triple H is my favorite match of all time at that SummerSlam. At that SummerSlam, it's my favorite match of all time. It just told such an awesome story too.
Him in the jeans and the sledgehammer at the everything.
Everything, dude. It was a movie. It was a movie. But yeah, I mean, we can talk a little bit about John Cena. I do want to talk about. Let's start with John Cena versus The Rock. I argue that this is not in terms of in ring work. Like, it's a good match. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. But name me a bigger match that has ever happened in the WWE. A match with more cultural impact than John Cena versus The Rock. It doesn't exist. It does not exist. That is the biggest match that the WWE has ever put forth. It could be outdone by The Rock versus Roman Reigns, but even then, I don't think so, because I don't think that Roman Reigns is that mainstream face that John Cena was able to be back in 2012 and 2013. So that is, in my opinion, the biggest match that the WWE has ever put on.
What about the women, the triple threat women, the Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey?
Yeah, in terms of impact within the WWE, I think there's a big argument to say that is a monumental match. I am talking not just in WWE, and I'm talking like the grand scope of everything. That is the biggest match to have ever happened.
I don't mean to cut you off because you're going through his matches, but I got one. I was there live, WrestleMania 18 in your home country, Hogan versus The Rock.
That's a great example.
I was there, and they stared at each other for literally felt like 3 matches length, and we cheered standing the entire flip-in time. I'll never forget that moment. I don't know. I know you're a little bit younger than I, so it might be different eras for us, but I don't know. I think that's pretty close. But I will give you that John Cena and The Rock. I mean, I didn't really care how good the match was going to be or who won. I wanted to watch.
By the way, The Rock versus Hulk Hogan is my second favorite match of all time. So it's just hilarious when you keep bringing these up. That match is absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, let's go through a couple of John Cena's matches, because I do think that you might have me here. But we look at the likes of John Cena versus Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam 2013. Putting over AJ Styles not once but twice at Money in the Bank, and then SummerSlam right after. The summer of Punk, doing the job for CM Punk in one of the WWE's only 5-star matches of the last 20 years, according to Dave Meltzer, if that's any sort of authority that you want to go over. We can. There's a lot of matches like that where, similar to Shawn Michaels, John Cena actually does his best work when he loses, when he is able to catapult that other person that is across from him. In terms of, like, I mean, this is an uphill battle for me. Like, in terms of in-ring ability and matches that leave you bewildered, out of breath, no one touches Shawn Michaels. But what John Cena is able to do better than I think anybody on the planet is make the other person that's across from him feel like a threat, feel scary, feel like John Cena needs to overcome this guy. There are moments where he didn't do that, didn't do it very well, like Wade Barrett and Bray Wyatt and Rusev are good examples of that. But then I toss out examples like Umaga. Umaga looked terrifying. Absolutely freaking terrifying going up against John Cena. He looked like something out of the stuff of nightmares. AJ Styles cemented his move and as one of the greatest of all time to do it outside WWE, cemented his spot by defeating John Cena. Kevin Owens, a virtually unknown to the main roster fans, coming up and putting up a banger of a match with John Cena, a match that John Cena, in most logical senses of booking, had no reason to be losing, and yet he did, and it was all the better because of it. So I think there's some similarities there between John Cena and Shawn Michaels, in that I actually think they do their best work when they lose. They call Shawn Michaels Mr. WrestleMania, and he has an absolute dog crap WrestleMania record.
It's way under 500. Yeah.
I don't know how many times it's actually horrible. It's horrible. How
many times has he? I mean, he beat Flair, he beat Brett.
He beat Flair, Brett, and he beat Vince McMahon. I can't think. Yeah,
he is 6-11 in WrestleMania.
Oh, he's 6-11.
That's better than I thought.
Me too. I did. Oh, well, he did, because he beat like Tito Santana and people before he became, Shawn Michaels, and maybe on the Rockers, maybe he got a win on the Rockers. All right, Santi. So we'll say this because we got to end this and have you, push your stuff. But I got to say, I will go with it. The match in general. I feel like Shawn does a better job overall. Most memorable matches being pushed and how big they feel, I have to give it to John Cena. I will agree there. I mean, Shawn's most memorable match is probably the screw job, right? I think that's the one. If you were going to think of anything or ask a casual fan who barely watches wrestling, they'll probably think of that. But Cena has, Cena versus Punk, Cena versus RVD, Cena versus The Rock, Cena versus Edge. That was a pretty big. There's some huge moments of John Cena. I'm probably missing a bunch too, but some really, really big moments that they just feel special. So we'll let Shooting Star press. What do you think? What are we going with this last one? Who are you giving it to?
You guys both give compelling arguments, but I got to go with John Cena. I think
man,
we're going to go with John Cena here.
We're having Santi beat me on my first ever Will of HBK greater than everyone.
Here's why. There's two reasons. Number one, in my opinion, when Shawn Michaels went out for that 4-year stretch from 98 to 2002, wrestling got better. You had guys like The Undertaker coming up. You had guys like Kane. You had the tag team division was getting better. If John Cena went out, they had to rush him back from injury because there was nobody else that could carry the company to put the title on. So I got to give Cena credit for that. And then number two, everybody wants to see John Cena come back into the ring one more time. They want to see him against Austin Theory at WrestleMania. Nobody's asking to see Shawn Michaels come back after that disaster that was in Australia against Kane and The Undertaker.
I also got to throw in too, which Stanzi made fun of me about earlier, is that also Shawn is a lot older. He can't go in. We don't want to see Shawn come in anymore because he's cross-eyed, balded, and I think he'll.
But
break
that last match that he
instantly,
had he did not look good at all, and everyone's clamoring to see John Cena come back. So.
I'm all for Cena job into Austin Theory at Mania. I'm here for it. I'll pay to see it. I think it's going to happen. I think it should happen, and I think that's going to finally get Theory over the top.
Hey, you know what though? Cena. You know what's fascinating about a feud with Cena? You are now where Cena is as a legend, bona fide Hall of Famer, a win or a loss, you are over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you can go. It's like, again, like I already used the example of Kevin Owens and Stone Cold earlier in this episode. That was a win-win scenario for Kevin Owens. It didn't matter the result. And I think Austin Theory, it could be, he can go over on a loss. Let's say he kicks out of 2 attitude adjustments, and it took that third one to finally put him down. Tell me Austin Theory doesn't come out of that loss with just a tremendous amount of respect. So he could be a win or a loss.
And John Cena is responsible for one of Roman Reigns' very few losses over the last 2 years, which just occurred on SmackDown.
That's true.
I'm hoping though, I'll take either way, and I agree with you, Santi. I think Theory gets pushed no matter what. But if he has a U.S. title, I'm hoping he comes out dressed like him with the spinner belt, goes full force. I even hope he does an entrance with a bunch of Austin Theory is going down the ramp and he runs down it. I hope he goes full force. He's been doing these gimmicks for a long time. I want to see him go hard. I think the match is going to be great. So I hope if it happens. So great, man. Santi, thank you for being such a good sport. Thank you for doing that Will of HBK greater than everyone, breaking it in. Hopefully people enjoyed it. Congrats us know in the comments.
Victory. Yeah,
thanks for beating me. I knew it coming in. I thought, hey, if we're gonna have Santi on here, I might as well do something for him to completely destroy me, make it not fair game. Like I said, it's because of you I created a TikTok, and which led me to this podcast. So that's something for you if you want to know. I'm sure you hear it a lot, but I appreciate you. Looked up to you guys, and it's an honor to have you on here. You're amazing. Before we'll let Shooting Star talk and we'll say goodbye, but anything you want to say, push your stuff, do your thing, Santi, whatever you.
Thank you very much for having me on. I'm in the same boat as you, where I don't really have people to talk to about professional wrestling in my personal life. So it's the internet that's given me this platform to be able to meet folks such as yourself. But yeah, you can find me on my podcast, Straight Shooter Wrestling Podcast, on any services. Our YouTube page right now is popping, almost about to get to 30,000. If you want to head on over there and give us some support.
Yeah, what's that like?
And then I'll plug my personal TikTok TikTok page that's been doing really well recently as well, at Mr. Santi's app over on TikTok. I will be doing, as a sneak peek, I've recorded a video saying that The Rock is coming back on Monday. Here's why. So head on over there if you want to see it.
That is, and I want to mention before shooting starts is that I'm so glad you jumped back. You got your stuff going back on. I remember when I got on TikTok, because I started in June, I didn't really, I saw you two together and I saw Steve Owens, but I never saw you. So it was nice to finally, now you're like doing your thing, because your content is amazing. So I'm glad
Thank you. I appreciate that.
doing your stuff again. Shooting star.
Yeah. Same thing as MWO. You know, I joined TikTok as a poster in August of 2021 when CM Punk was rumored to be signing with AEW, and I went on to TikTok and I typed in CM Punk in the search bar, and one of the first things that came up was y'all's Guess the Wrestler of CM Punk.
SEO, baby. SEO, search engine optimization.
So you know, you guys kind of, I was like, oh crap, there's like a whole world of wrestling, and you guys were the first video that I saw. I think the Guess the Wrestler was CM Punk Rock from Flintstones, whatever. I don't remember what the name of the movie was, but yeah. So it was. That's what got me into wrestling TikTok, and I realized, like, this is, you know, I like wrestling. I've enjoyed wrestling, and yeah, I don't have anyone. None of my friends like wrestling. My wife hates wrestling, so my kids are too young to watch wrestling. So let me watch it with a bunch of strangers on the internet. There's nothing that can go wrong with that. So
heck yeah.
So great, man.
But no, yeah, we appreciate you having us, you coming on, and taking time out of your busy schedule to make time for the little guys, and we certainly appreciate it.
Of course, anytime. If you guys would like to have me on a future episode, just shoot me a message.
I will, man. I will. And hopefully you'll be on time this time, huh? That'd be fun.
Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully.
That'll be fun. You Canadians. I thought you were always on time. I thought that was your guys as being nice and on time. I thought that was
you know what? Steve calls it my Latino time. That's what he calls it. And now I'm starting to actually see that it might be true.
Well, we're hoping to have Steve on too at some point, and maybe both of you. Maybe next time we can get you both on. But thank you so much. It was like a double episode. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, thank you, Santi. Thank you, Shooting Star Press. And I'm MWO.
Yeah, we're out.
And we'll see you Friday for AEW.
Take care, everybody.